Hi, thanks for tuning in today. Today I want to take a moment and thank everyone who has subscribed to this channel recently. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. We've neared 700 subscribers, so thank you for that. I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about the King James Version Bible and my perspective on the King James Version Bible. What kind of prompted this a little bit, I've been thinking about doing this video for a little while, but sort of what prompted it is today we actually hit 700 subscribers and we lost a subscriber, and that's fine. That happens. People either outgrow the channel or, maybe there's some content or something they don't like, and that's fine. But I suspect one of the reasons why my channel will lose a subscriber here or there is the position I take on the King James Version Bible. And my position, I've made clear in another video. I'll probably leave a link in the description, is I love the King James Version Bible. It is my favorite English translation. When I read from the Bible, when I'm reading in English, I most frequently read from the King James Version Bible. And I'm nostalgic for a time when churches shared an English Bible. It's interesting that, when I was a kid, it was very common for multiple denominations and groups at least to have a shared Bible, a shared English translation. And I miss those days because I see with the many translations that are coming out, they tend to be being used by certain groups. In other words, you don't see too many more liberal Christians using something like the NASB. You don't see too many very conservative Christians using the New Revised Standard Version. In other words, the English translations that we have, rather than unifying people, seems to be that people are latching on one particular translation. One branch of Christianity uses this translation, another group uses this translation, and Christianity's kind of got these various camps that surround different translations. The Legacy Standard Bible, which I think is kind of neat, that's come out. I don't really suspect that those that are in Anglicanism will really gravitate to that translation. And so I understand that to think that everybody's going to go back to using the old version, our grandfather's Bible, as Spurgeon called it, it's not realistic. I don't imagine that all of Christianity is going to go back to that. But I still love the King James Version. I love teaching my children from the King James Version. I love teaching them the language and rhythm of the King James Version. And I think it's the most beautiful of all English translations. I've never made the claim that I would think that I think it's a translation that's been done by men. And I don't think those men were, I think there's a part in the preface of the King James Version that refers to apostolic men, right? I don't think they felt like they had the same kind of gift like the apostles did, that they were re-inspired to translate the Bible. I think they were fallible men, but I also think that they were very gifted men, and they were building on a beautiful tradition that stretched all the way back to William Tyndale. And so I find in my own work, when I'm translating from the Greek text, I marvel at the work of the King James Version translators. It's the way that they've rendered it into English. And for some people, maybe they think that the beauty of the King James Version is totally irrelevant. You just want strict literal translation, and they're not concerned about the beauty. but I believe that the King James Version is the crowning jewel of the English language. I've read, not all of Shakespeare's works, but I've read from Shakespeare and some of these others, and I've read other English translations, and as far as I'm concerned, the King James Version is the crowning jewel of English literature. I think it's just beautiful. And I think every person whose first language is English should spend some time with the King James Version Bible. Now, that being said, I've never made any claims that I think that the translation work itself, again, I say it was done by fallible men, but I don't go out of my way to point out the flaws of the King James Version Bible. I don't go out of my way to try to say this verse is translated wrong. In fact, sometimes when I go and I'm talking about the Greek text, I'm very, very careful. I don't think I've ever said that any English translation has mistranslated something. I think that's a bold claim to say that an English translation, a major English translation, whether it's King James Version or any other translation, has mistranslated. Sometimes there's anybody who's worked between one language to another language. My wife, English is her second language. She thinks in English now, and her English is great. But just going back and forth from Spanish to English. In Spanish, you can say, me estás tomando el pelo. And that literally means you're taking my hair, right? You're taking my hair. But idiomatically, it means you're kidding me. So it's about like the same thing as saying you're pulling my leg, right? So in English, we say you're pulling my leg. Now, how's the best way to translate that? Should you translate it, you're taking my hair, or should you translate it, you're kidding me? Well, there's more than one accurate way to translate something, and so I'm very hesitant to ever say something's mistranslated. Sometimes I'll offer a different translation, or maybe just something maybe more literal, but I don't necessarily say that it's better. And again, some people will say like, oh, the beauty doesn't matter, but I want to submit to you that the Greek text that we read from in the New Testament, the Greek text has its own beauty to it. As I'm trawling from the well of the Greek text, I'm reading it, and it's feels like it's getting down inside me. There's a beauty to that text, and I think to render it into stale English does a disservice to the original. And so I think the beauty of the King James Version is something that's wonderful to behold. That being said, I don't hold to some sort of rigorous King James onlyism. I don't say that there's no value in other translations. And is it possible? Are there places where one translation might render it more clearly than the King James Version does, or something like that? Absolutely, I have no problems with those things. And for that reason, I think this position that I take, whereas I love the King James Version, I would love for people to enjoy the King James Version. I would love people to enjoy the richness of its rhythm and everything that's so beautiful about the King James Version. If you want to hear more about 5 reasons why I love the King James Version, again, there's a video that I've made about that, and I'll try to leave that in the description. But I just want to clarify my position, and I know this is the reason why King James onlyists will sometimes unsubscribe from my channel, and it's also the reason why some people who are very anti-King James only unsubscribe from my channel, because they'll see my content, talking about the Byzantine text or talking about the King James Version, and assume certain things about my belief. But I thought I'd just clear the air, and I know it won't make everybody happy. I know that there's going to be people that disagree with me on either side of it. But like I said, my goal, I see Mark Ward's channel's gotten pretty popular here lately, and he has a goal of showing the archaic language of the King James Version, and I don't really share I don't know how to say this exactly. I feel like I have more of a positive perspective on the King James Version and its value than somebody like Mark Ward. I would like to see people enjoy it and profit from it more. And honestly, most people who hold a King James Version only position, I don't feel any very strong compulsion to try to dissuade them or try to get them away from that. Other people might feel that way. And again, I'm not saying any of this to attack Mark Ward. I have no quarrel with him, and in fact, I appreciate the fact that he's helped some people understand some of the language that's changed in the King James Version, and that's fine. But I think occupying this this position where you're not King James only, but you love the King James Version and you want to promote it and have people enjoy it, I think that makes some people a little bit uncomfortable. So I really don't know what to say other than that's what I believe. I believe the King James Version is a beautiful translation done by imperfect humans. I don't think it was re-inspired or anything like that, but I do think it's marvelously accurate. And again, doing my own research and my own study, I don't think I could have translated anything nearly as well as really 90% of the New Testament they say came directly from William Tyndale anyways, someone who literally spilled his blood to get God's precious words in Scripture expressed in English. I probably didn't word that sentence very well, but you understand the idea. And so all that to say, if you wondered what my position on the King James Version is, I hope this kind of clarifies it. And I've got this other video that you can go back and watch if you'd like to, and you can see 5 reasons why I love the King James Version. I don't go out of my way to attack it, but I don't make the claim that I think that it's, the only inspired, inerrant English translation or take some sort of extreme position like that. But that's my view. That's the view that I take. And if you don't take that view, I'm not angry at you. I'm not mad. I'm not at war with anybody. But, someone recently had asked me what my view was. And so this is it. And so for good or for worse, or if you think you can help me in some way, that's fine. But I hope the Lord blesses you, and we'll see you on the next video.